Anybody who watched the RTE documentary last night on our public health workers would have been struck very much by the superhuman sacrifices that they have made. And then you wake up this morning and listen to yourself and other government ministers talking about what needs to be done, and the utter disconnect between what we witnessed last night and the reckless behaviour of this government is quite shocking. Last week, the Taoiseach spoke of his regrets in opening up the economy in December, a decision that I would argue led to the horrific impact of what we saw last night. But for all those regrets, there is now an utter refusal by this government to prepare and implement what is necessary, a mandatory quarantining policy for people travelling into this country. It's incomprehensible, and none of your arguments stack up. Not the technical difficulties, not the border, not the civil liberties questions. They do not stack up. The key argument that you have, in fact, against implementing a zero-COVID policy is this question of mandatory quarantining. But the failure isn't technical, it is political, and it's not driven by the interests of public health, it's driven by economic and interests of those who lobby you the hardest. Yet again, we're talking of opening up the economy, opening up construction, ending restrictions, opening up the schools, and for many people, this is terrifying them. They think that you think there's an end, there's light at the end of the tunnel, but most people see another lockdown at the end of that tunnel, possibly in April or May, as being inevitable. The public are way ahead of the government yet again, and the latest Red C poll has shown us that 86% of the public are in favour of a tougher Australian-style mandatory quarantining system for all international travellers into this country. And yet the Taoiseach told yesterday on drive time that he looked at the possibility of this last May and decided it was too difficult. It was too difficult in terms of opening up the economy, civil liberties, etc. Well, we reject that. And seriously, I think that where this is coming from is clearly from the lobbying of big business. The Sunday Business Post reported how the US Chamber of Commerce chief executive met the three most powerful people in government for special meetings with him. Perhaps this explains why we have bizarre exemptions like construction of foreign direct investment companies like Intel being able to continue working throughout the lockdown with thousands of workers travelling throughout the country. It has to stop, and we have to start treating this pandemic as a public health issue in its entirety, not as a bit of this and a bit of that.